Welcome to the Human Archive. If you enjoy original science fiction stories about humanity finding its place among the stars, subscribe and join us for the next story. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Quiet Table. Garruk Vesh had been warned that human children asked questions. He had not understood this to be a threat. The warning came from a freight coordinator on Meridian Exchange after Garruk complained that human juveniles stared. "They're curious," the coordinator had said. "So are parasites. That comparison will go badly if you make it near a parent." Garruk had dismissed the advice. 3 days later, an 8-year-old human walked directly up to his table and pointed at the ceremonial knife hanging across his chest. "Is that real?" Garruk looked down. The child stood less than half his height, dark hair, brown eyes, a faded blue shirt decorated with a cartoon spacecraft. One shoelace had come untied. The child did not appear remotely concerned that Garruk belonged to a species famous for producing battlefield shock troops. "Yes," Garruk said. The boy leaned closer. "Can it cut metal?" "Some metals. Bones." Garruk stared. "Yes." "Cool." Across the table, a Ceylan cargo broker quietly moved his drink out of reach of the conversation. Garruk looked around the Red Lantern. The establishment occupied one corner of Meridian Exchange's central passenger concourse. It was technically a tavern. In practice, it functioned as a restaurant, waiting lounge, informal meeting hall, and refuge for travelers who had learned never to trust scheduled departures. The lighting was warm. The tables were scarred. The food was acceptable. The alcohol was not. Garruk came anyway. The Red Lantern provided the best view of the docking concourse, and Garruk liked watching ships arrive. The human child pointed again. "What are those marks?" Garruk looked down at the silver symbols etched into the knife's sheath. "Campaign honors." "What's that mean?" "They record battles." The child's eyes widened. "You were in wars." "Yes." "How many?" Before Garruk could answer, another human voice cut in. "Lucas." The boy looked over his shoulder. A man approached from a nearby table carrying 2 plates. He was average-sized by human standards, with tired eyes and work clothes marked with the insignia of a freight maintenance cooperative. He looked at Garruk, then at his son, then back at Garruk. "I told you not to bother people." "I'm not bothering him. You are interrogating an armed stranger." Lucas looked at Garruk. "Am I bothering you?" Garruk considered, a little. Lucas nodded. "Okay." The father closed his eyes briefly. "I'm sorry." Garruk inclined his head. "No offense has been given." Lucas pointed at one of the silver symbols. "That one looks like a dinosaur." Garruk frowned. "A what?" The boy's face changed. It became the face of a child who had just discovered an unacceptable gap in another person's education. "You don't know what dinosaurs are?" "No." Lucas looked at his father. "Dad." The man sighed. "I know. We have to show him." "We absolutely do not have to show the alien warrior dinosaurs." Garruk looked between them. "What is a dinosaur?" Lucas pulled a tablet from the table. For the next 11 minutes, Garruk received an unsolicited lecture on extinct Earth megafauna. He learned that humans had once shared their planet with enormous reptiles. He learned that those creatures had vanished millions of years before humans existed. He learned that this did not prevent human children from having strong opinions about them. Lucas believed the tyrannosaur was overrated. Garruk disagreed despite having learned of its existence less than 4 minutes earlier. Their argument ended when the bartender appeared. Maya Chen carried 3 glasses in one hand and a plate in the other. She was a human female somewhere in middle adulthood, with black hair tied behind her head and the expression of someone who had seen almost every form of bad decision available to sentient life. She placed the plate in front of Lucas. "You're supposed to be eating." Lucas looked down. "Oh." His father pointed at the food. "That thing you do 3 times a day." "I was educating Garruk." Maya looked at Garruk. "Condolences." Garruk narrowed his eyes. "I found the information useful." "Then you're encouraging him." Lucas grinned. His father shook his head. "My name's Daniel Alvarez, by the way." "Garruk Vesh." Daniel gestured toward Lucas. "You've met the interrogator." Lucas waved. Garruk nodded. "Humans remain strange. That opinion strengthened over the next hour. Daniel and Lucas were stranded on Meridian because their passenger ship had developed an authorization problem. Nothing dangerous, nothing dramatic, merely bureaucracy. Their connecting transport could not depart until the station reconciled two conflicting cargo declarations. Daniel had spent the last 3 hours arguing with automated systems. Lucas had spent those same hours asking questions. At one point, a message appeared on Daniel's wrist display. He read it, then groaned. "What?" Maya asked from behind the bar. "Service desk says they need me in person." "How long?" 10 minutes, maybe 20. Daniel looked toward Lucas. The boy had returned to his food. "I can take him." Lucas objected immediately. "I'm not going to the service desk." "You don't get a vote." "I've been sitting all day." "You are currently sitting." "That's different." Maya pointed toward the stool beside the bar. "He can stay here." Daniel looked at her. "You sure?" "Yeah." "Lucas." The boy looked up. "Stay here, don't leave the red lantern, don't bother anybody carrying ceremonial weapons." Lucas glanced toward Garruk. "That was one time." Daniel looked at Maya. "You've got him." Maya nodded. "Got him." That was all. Daniel left. Garruk watched him disappear into the concourse, then looked toward Maya. "You have assumed guardianship." She was wiping down the bar. "For 20 minutes. There was no transfer." "What?" "No formal declaration." Maya looked at him. He said, "You've got him." "That is sufficient." "For me." "You are unrelated." "Correct." "You have no genetic obligation." Maya shrugged. "Neither does his math teacher." "That is employment." "So is this." "You are paid to watch children." "No." "Then your answer is contradictory." Maya leaned across the bar. "Garruk, I'm going to explain something important about humans." He waited. "If a parent says, 'Can you keep an eye on my kid for 20 minutes?' and you say yes, then congratulations. You're keeping an eye on the kid for 20 minutes. That is not legal structure." "No." "Then what compels you?" She looked toward Lucas. He was attempting to balance two utensils against one another. "I said I would." Garruk found this unsatisfying. Among the Draathi, children belonged to family lines. Responsibility was specific. Parents, grandparents, designated bloodkin, clan-appointed guardians. A child did not simply become the responsibility of an unrelated adult because someone said a sentence across a bar. Human systems seemed alarmingly casual. Garruk returned to his drink. Lucas finished eating, then wandered back toward Garruk's table. Maya noticed immediately. "Stay where I can see you." "I am." "You know what I mean." Lucas moved the chair so Maya had a direct line of sight. Garruk watched. No argument about authority, no explanation. The child obeyed. Interesting. Lucas pointed toward Garruk's knife again. "So the dinosaur one is a battle." "It is not a dinosaur." "It looks like one." "It represents the Third Ridge assault." "What happened?" Garruk hesitated. Draathi children learned military history young. Human children did too, according to some reports. Still, he doubted Daniel Alvarez had intended his son to receive detailed battlefield testimony during dinner. It was a victory. Lucas leaned on the table. "Were you scared?" Garruk's hand stopped near his glass. The Selin broker across from him suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. Draathi warriors acknowledge fear as information. Lucas nodded. "That means yes." Garruk stared. The child stared back. Finally, Garruk said, "Yes." Lucas seemed satisfied. "Dad says only dumb people are never scared." The Selin broker coughed into his drink. Garruk slowly looked toward Maya. She had heard. She was trying not to smile. "Humans are extremely disrespectful," Garruk said, "especially the small ones." Lucas pointed toward the knife. "Can I touch it?" "No." "Okay." The answer came immediately. No argument, no attempt, no offense. Garruk almost approved. Then Lucas's elbow struck the edge of the table. The small plastic spacecraft he had been playing with spun across the surface. It hit Garruk's glass. The glass tipped. Garruk moved to catch it. Too late, the drink struck the table. The ceremonial honor token beside it slid across the wet surface. Lucas reached instinctively. His fingers touched the token, then it fell. Silver struck the floor. The sound was small. Garruk heard it like a gunshot. He stood. Lucas froze. The honor token lay between them. Draathi's script gleamed beneath the bar lights. The token had belonged to Garruk's unit commander. It had been placed in his hand after the siege of Reth. It carried the names of 11 dead warriors. Among the Draathi, another person did not touch such an object without permission. Dropping one was worse. Lucas bent down. "I'm sorry, I'll—" Garruk caught his wrist. The boy gasped. Everything stopped. Maya's head turned. Garruk barely noticed. He was staring at the token. "You do not touch a warrior's dead." Lucas's face changed. "I was trying to catch it." "You had no permission." "I'm sorry." No curiosity now, no fascination, fear. "Garruk." Maya's voice, very calm, he looked toward her. She had set down the glass in her hand. "Let him go." He touched a consecrated object. He knocked it over by accident. That does not erase the insult. "He's 8. That is irrelevant." "No." Maya stepped from behind the bar. "It really is." Garruk tightened his grip without realizing it. Lucas winced. Maya saw. Her face changed, not much. That was the strange part. She did not shout, did not threaten, did not reach for a weapon. She simply became still. "Let him go." Garruk felt anger rise, not at Lucas, not entirely, at the dishonor. At the memories attached to the token, at himself for leaving it so near the edge, at the fact that everyone now watched. "I have not injured him." Lucas whispered, "You're hurting my arm." Silence fell across the red lantern, complete silence. Garruk looked around, and for the first time noticed the humans. Every one of them was watching his hand. Chapter 2. Why is everyone standing? Garruk had been surrounded before. He knew what it felt like. A battlefield encirclement announced itself through movement. Lines closed, weapons rose, commands passed, threats became visible. This was different. Nobody had spoken, nobody had coordinated. The humans had simply changed. A dockworker at a table near the entrance stood. Slowly. A gray-haired human woman set down her drink and pushed her chair backward. 2 university students stopped talking. One moved toward the side of the room. The other pulled a non-human companion farther from the center. The cook appeared through the kitchen doors. A human medic removed his outer coat and folded it over the back of a chair. A freight pilot rose without taking her eyes off Garruk. One human near the entrance touched his wrist communicator. Another shifted a table out of the path between Garruk and the bar. Nobody rushed him. Nobody shouted. That would have made sense. Instead, the room organized itself. Garruk's training took over. He assessed. Main exit partially blocked by the dockworker. Secondary kitchen exit occupied by the cook. Direct route toward Lucas, Maya. Route toward the concourse. 2 humans now standing with clear sightlines. 1 human already contacting security. Another moving non-combatants away. 1 older female remaining seated. But her cane was no longer leaning against the table. It was in her hand. Garruk looked at the humans, then at Lucas, then back. "This is not your offspring." The gray-haired woman answered. "He's somebody else." Garruk stared at her. "That does not create obligation." "No." Her voice was almost conversational. "Seems to have." Maya stepped closer. "Garruk." His attention returned to her. "Let go." The bar had become so quiet he could hear ventilation fans behind the wall. Draathi instincts demanded certainty, threat displays, positioning, dominance. Human behavior provided none. No one had challenged him. No one had claimed authority. No one had announced themselves as protector. Yet every human in the room appeared to be waiting for the same thing. "Release the child." Garruk looked down. Lucas's eyes were wet now, not crying, trying not to. The boy's wrist looked very small inside Garruk's hand. Garruk released him. Maya moved instantly, not toward Garruk, toward Lucas. She pulled the child behind her. The dockworker near the entrance relaxed half an inch. The cook remained where he was. The gray-haired woman lowered her cane, not all the way. Garruk stared. They did not attack. This confused him more than the threat had. He had released Lucas. Therefore, in their minds, the confrontation had changed, just like that. The anger remained. He could see it in their faces, but nobody struck him. Nobody attempted revenge. Maya knelt in front of Lucas. "Let me see." "I'm okay." "Armed." Lucas held it out. Red marks already showed where Garruk's fingers had pressed. Maya's jaw tightened. "Can you move your hand?" Lucas opened and closed his fingers. "Yes." "Anything numb?" "No." The doors to the red lantern opened. Daniel Alvarez came running. He saw his son, saw Maya kneeling, saw Garruk standing over them. His face went white, then red. What happened? Lucas stood. Dad. Daniel crossed the room. Garruk saw it immediately. This one was different. The others had prepared. Daniel intended violence. He moved straight toward Garruk. Maya stood and caught him with both hands against the chest. Daniel. What did he do? He let go. What did he do? Daniel. Lucas moved behind Maya. Daniel saw the marks on his son's wrist. Something entered his face Garruk had seen many times in combat. The narrowing before action, the moment after choice. Garruk shifted his stance. Every human noticed. The room tightened again. Maya looked Daniel directly in the eyes. He let go. Daniel's breathing was hard. That doesn't make it okay. No. I'm going to. No. Maya did not raise her voice. Check your kid. Daniel froze. His eyes moved toward Lucas. The anger did not disappear. Something simply outranked it. His son. Daniel turned away from Garruk. Immediately he knelt. Lucas. I'm okay. Let me see. Maya already. Let me see. Lucas held out his arm. Daniel checked the wrist, the hand, the elbow, his son's face. He touched the back of Lucas's head as though verifying the child existed. Station security arrived less than a minute later. 3 officers entered. The lead officer was Morathi, large enough that Garruk respected the species immediately. What happened? Half the bar answered. Garruk raised one hand. I restrained the juvenile. The officer looked at Lucas. Without permission. Yes. Reason. He touched a consecrated object. The officer looked down at the token still lying on the floor, then at Garruk. Did he attack you? No. Threaten you? No. Attempt theft? No. Then why did you grab him? Garruk's jaw tightened. Among my people. The officer cut him off. You are on Meridian Exchange. Garruk looked around. The humans were beginning to sit again, not casually, not yet, but the immediate threat had ended. The room was becoming a bar again. Just as quickly as it had become something else, the security officer gestured. You're coming with us. Garruk looked toward his token. Lucas saw. The boy hesitated, then pointed at it. You dropped your thing. Garruk stared. Lucas looked up at his father. Daniel's expression hardened. Don't touch it. I know. A security officer retrieved the token with a gloved hand. Yours. Garruk nodded. The officer sealed it in a temporary property case. Lucas rubbed his wrist. Garruk looked at him. He wanted to explain. The object, the dead, the cultural insult, the reflex, all of it felt suddenly small, not meaningless, never meaningless, but smaller. He had frightened a child over a piece of metal representing people who had once trusted him to behave with honor. The contradiction did not escape him. Security escorted him out. As he crossed the threshold, Garruk looked back. Maya stood beside Daniel and Lucas. The dockworker had sat. The students were talking quietly again. The old woman's cane leaned against her table. Garruk finally understood what had disturbed him. Nobody had asked who was responsible for the child. They had acted as though the answer was obvious. Everyone. Chapter 3. The question. Meridian Exchange did not imprison Garruk. The incident had been serious. It had not caused severe injury. Security footage showed no attempt to abduct Lucas, no weapon drawn, no continued threat after release. Garruk was fined. His ceremonial weapons permit was suspended for 60 days. He was required to attend a station conflict review. His access to the Red Lantern was restricted for 2 weeks. He accepted all of it. The Draathi consulate advised him to challenge the ruling. He declined. His brother called from 3 systems away. You allowed a child to dishonor the dead. No. Then what happened? I dishonored them myself. His brother was silent for several seconds. What did you do? Garruk ended the call. 13 days later, he returned to the Red Lantern, not to drink, to apologize. Maya saw him enter. She did not reach for security. That surprised him. She finished serving a customer, then approached. You're allowed back tomorrow. I know. Then why are you here? To speak. With me. Yes. Maya folded her arms. Garruk had faced artillery with less discomfort. I frightened the child. Yes. I caused pain. Yes. I understood that his species was smaller. Maya waited. I understood that he did not know our customs. She continued waiting. Garruk hated humans. They could make silence feel like interrogation. I knew better. Yes. Garruk forced the words out. I am sorry. Maya studied him. Wrong person. I know. That seemed to matter. He and Daniel are staying another week. Their ship got rescheduled again. Can I speak to them? Not today. Garruk inclined his head. I understand. He turned. Garruk. He stopped. Maya leaned against the bar. You asked something that night. I asked many things. You said Lucas wasn't anyone else's offspring. Garruk turned back. That statement remains biologically correct. Sure. Then why did everyone stand? Maya looked around the red lantern. At the tables, at the kitchen, at the doors. Because you were hurting a kid. I understand Daniel's reaction. No, you understand a parent. Yes. I asked about the others. Maya picked up a glass and began polishing it. Immediate danger changes the rules. How? If a kid runs into traffic, the nearest adult grabs them. They don't ask permission first. Garruk frowned. If a child is choking and their parent isn't there, someone starts first aid. Without authorization. Yes. That could create liability. Yes. Then why? Because the kid is choking. Garruk disliked circular explanations. Maya set down the glass. Sometimes there isn't time for authorization. That line struck differently. Garruk looked toward the floor. Among the Draathi, interfering with another family's child can be considered an insult. Even if they're in danger. There are exceptions. So you understand the concept. Exceptions are defined. Humans define some things too. And the rest? Maya shrugged. We use judgment. Garruk made a displeased sound. That is unreliable. Very. You admit it. Humans built civilization around unreliable judgment and paperwork. That explains much. Maya smiled faintly. The child still belongs to their family. That doesn't change. Then what does? Responsibility. Garruk waited. For a minute, 5 minutes, however long the emergency lasts. You assume it. Yes. Without being asked. Yes. Why? Maya looked at him, because somebody has to. Garruk remembered the room changing. No orders, no assignments, no blood relation, a cook, a dockworker, students, an old woman, a medic. Everyone had identified the same problem. Child in danger, everything else came second. The older woman, Garruk said. What about her? She was prepared to strike me with a cane. Maya smiled. Mrs. Hargrove. You know her. She comes in every Thursday. She is 70. 73. She would have attacked me. Maya considered, with the cane. Yes. No. Garruk relaxed. She would have gone for your knee. He stared. Maya laughed. You should see your face. This is not amusing. It is from here. Garruk leaned forward. Why did no one attack me after I released him? Maya's expression changed. Because the kid was safe. You were angry. Very. Daniel wanted violence. Very much. Yet you stopped him. Lucas needed his dad more than Daniel needed revenge. Garruk went quiet. Maya shrugged. Kid first, adult feelings later. Garruk thought about that for the rest of the day. Chapter 4. Somebody's. Garruk apologized to Lucas 3 days later. Daniel was present, so was Maya. Security was not. Garruk found the absence of officers strangely intimidating. Lucas sat at the same table where they had first discussed dinosaurs. His wrist no longer showed marks. Garruk remained standing. I frightened you. Lucas looked at his father. Daniel nodded once. Lucas looked back. Yes. Garruk appreciated the directness. I should not have grabbed you. No. I was angry because the token represented warriors who died beside me. Lucas's eyes dropped. I'm sorry I knocked it over. You did not do it deliberately. No. That matters. Lucas thought about it, then asked, Are we okay? Garruk blinked, Daniel's expression softened by a fraction. Garruk said, I believe that depends on you. Lucas shrugged, okay. Garruk looked toward Maya. She gave him a tiny nod. Apparently the apology had succeeded. Humans had disturbingly informal rituals. Daniel stood after Lucas wandered toward the bar. You scared the hell out of him. I know. You ever put your hands on my son like that again? I will not. Daniel stopped. Garruk waited. The human appeared to have prepared additional words. None were needed. Finally, Daniel said, Good. That was the end of it. For Garruk, the lesson might have remained an interesting piece of human behavior. Then docking ring 6 lost pressure. The accident occurred 19 days later. A passenger shuttle entered the ring under manual guidance after a navigation fault. Its port stabilizer clipped a cargo transfer bridge. The impact tore open 2 service lines and twisted the docking assembly 17 degrees. Emergency systems reacted immediately. Bulkheads began sealing. Pressure doors descended. Alarms flooded the concourse. Garruk was leaving a freight office when the first warning sounded. His military training took over. Locate breach. Identify safe compartment. Move perpendicular to pressure loss. Do not run with crowd flow. He turned toward the nearest emergency marker. People poured from the docking galleries. Most moved correctly, some did not. A Pelosian traveler fell. 2 humans pulled him up without breaking stride. A service drone crashed into a wall. Emergency shutters began dividing the concourse into pressure zones. Garruk moved toward the marked shelter. Then he heard screaming, not adult. Child, he stopped. The sound came from behind him. A small figure stood near the center of the concourse. Kirin, female, perhaps 5 or 6 years old by species standards. Her feathers had flattened completely against her body. The crowd had split around her. Her parents were nowhere visible. Above her, a pressure door descended. Garruk's first instinct was simple, not mine, not family. Station systems would respond. Security would respond. Somebody responsible would. Garruk had spent most of his adult life being the somebody responsible. On battlefields, hesitation killed. A wounded soldier did not need to belong to Garruk's unit before he pulled them behind cover. A damaged bulkhead did not need to be his assignment before he sealed it. He had simply never applied the rule to strangers' children. Maya's voice returned, because somebody has to. The pressure door was halfway down. The child did not move. Garruk turned, ran. The Kirin saw him coming. Her terror increased. Of course it did. Draathi were built like the predators her ancestors had fled. Garruk pointed. Move. She froze harder. Wrong approach. The door descended another meter. The warning tone changed pitch. 3 seconds. 2. He reached the child, scooped her against his chest, threw himself forward. The pressure door struck his armored shoulder. Pain exploded. Garruk roared. The safety system detected obstruction, paused, then resumed with greater force. The emergency mechanism had been designed to overcome debris. Garruk shoved the child beneath the remaining gap. She slid across the floor into the safe compartment. Go. She crawled away. The door pressed harder. Garruk's knees bent. Draathi armor protected against impact, not industrial pressure doors. He could feel something tearing near his shoulder. An emergency worker appeared on the far side. Let it close. Garruk ducked. The moment his body cleared, the door slammed shut. Pressure seals engaged. Garruk collapsed. The child screamed from behind the transparent section of the emergency barrier. He could see her. Alive. A human medic reached Garruk first. Don't move. My shoulder. I can see that. Child. Safe. Garruk exhaled. The pain arrived fully. He hated it. The medic began cutting away part of his harness. Minutes later, the pressure zone stabilized. The door reopened under manual control. People reunited. Families found one another. The Kirin child's mother came running. She saw Garruk sitting against the wall, saw her daughter beside him, stopped. Her eyes widened. The child clung to Garruk's uninjured arm. The mother's fear hit immediately. Garruk understood, a Draathi warrior holding her child. He lowered himself, slowly, removed his hand. The child did not let go. The mother approached. What happened? Garruk looked toward the damaged pressure door. She was in danger. The mother took her daughter. Her hands shook. You do not know her. Garruk heard himself answer before thinking. No. The mother stared. Garruk remembered Mrs. Hargrove. He's somebody's, but she is somebody's. The Kirin mother's face changed, not understanding. Not entirely, but something softened. She pulled her daughter close. Thank you. Garruk looked at the damaged door, at the blood beginning to seep through the broken plates near his shoulder, at humans already helping strangers across the concourse. He finally understood why the red lantern had gone quiet, not perfectly, but enough. Chapter 5. Distributed Responsibility. Garruk spent 4 days in medical care. Maya visited on the 2nd. She entered carrying a container of food and no flowers. Garruk approved. "Station meals are dishonorable," she said. "That is the first correct thing you have said." "Feeling better, then?" She placed the container beside him. Garruk's shoulder was immobilized. 3 fractures ran through the outer armor plate. The doctor expected full recovery. Eventually, Maya sat. "I heard what happened. So has everyone." Security footage made the rounds. Garruk growled, "Humans record too much." "Accurate." She opened the food container. "You went back for her." "Yes." "Why?" Garruk looked at her. Maya smiled. "I want to hear you say it." He disliked her. She was a child. And she was in danger. And Garruk's jaw tightened. She did not require a familial relationship before the danger became relevant. Maya laughed. "That might be the most Draathi version possible." "It is precise." "It is." Garruk looked away. Her mother asked why I helped. "What did you say?" "She was somebody's." Maya stopped smiling. For several seconds she said nothing. Then, "Mrs. Hargrove would be proud." "The old woman with the cane." "The very one." Garruk considered this. "I am not sure I desire her approval." "You do." "No. You absolutely do." Garruk ate in silence. Eventually he asked, "Is there a universal human rule requiring intervention?" "No." "Then why is the behavior common?" Maya leaned back. "Because we teach versions of it constantly. Help someone who falls, call emergency services, don't leave somebody in danger if you can safely help. Watch the kid for 5 minutes. Tell someone when something's wrong." These are separate behaviors. To you. What unifies them? Maya looked at him. "You noticed a problem, now it's partly yours." Garruk stared. "That principle is dangerously broad." "Correct. It invites interference." "Yes." "Mistakes." "Yes." "Unnecessary risk." "Sometimes." "Then why preserve it?" "Because the alternative is everybody waiting for somebody else." Garruk went still. That sentence he understood. Battlefields taught the same lesson. A breach appeared. A wounded soldier fell. A weapon failed. If everyone waited for the person officially assigned to act, people died. Draathi military doctrine trained initiative into soldiers. But only inside defined command structures. Humans appeared to extend a messier version of the principle into civilian life. "Distributed responsibility," Garruk said. Maya blinked. "What?" "Your species distributes emergency responsibility informally." She considered. "Sure. You could have said that initially. You were holding an 8-year-old by the wrist." "Fair." "The important part," Maya said, "is knowing when it ends." Garruk frowned. "When the kid is safe, the parent takes over, security takes over. Paramedics take over. Whoever actually has authority takes over. So the responsibility is temporary." "Exactly." "You assume it only until proper responsibility resumes." "Usually." Garruk thought back to Daniel, running toward him, prepared for violence. Then Maya said, "Check your kid," and Daniel did, not because the anger vanished, because being Lucas's father mattered more. Garruk looked toward his injured shoulder. Maya followed his gaze. "Looks like you understood it." Garruk grunted, "Eventually." Maya smiled. "Good enough." Chapter 6. Everyone's child for 5 minutes. Garruk returned to the Red Lantern 2 months after the decompression accident. His shoulder still ached in cold compartments. The ceremonial knife had been restored to him. He no longer carried the honor token loose on tables. Lucas noticed immediately. "You're back." Garruk looked toward the boy. "Yes." Lucas pointed at his shoulder. "Does it still hurt?" "Yes. Dad said you saved a kid." Daniel looked over from the next table. I said he helped. You said he held up a giant door. I said pressure door. That's giant. Garruk sat. The door was poorly designed. Maya called from behind the bar. It was designed to stop decompression, not accommodate you. Then it lacked sufficient adaptability. Welcome back, Garruk. Lucas climbed onto the chair across from him. Was the kid okay? Yes. Good. That was all. No awe, no speech, no declaration that Garruk had changed. The child accepted the important fact. Someone had been in danger. Now she was not. Good. Daniel approached a few minutes later. He carried 2 drinks, placed one in front of Garruk. Non-alcoholic. Garruk frowned. Why? You're still on medication. You monitor my medical restrictions. Maya told me. Garruk looked toward the bar. Maya waved. Humans had no respect for privacy. Daniel sat. For a moment neither spoke. Then Daniel said, You scared the hell out of my son. Garruk met his eyes. I know. I know you apologized. Yes. I know he's fine. Yes. Daniel rubbed one hand across the table. I was still angry for a while. That is reasonable. I wanted to hit you. I noticed. Maya says I would have made everything worse. From behind the bar, Maya shouted. You would have. Daniel pointed. See, diplomatic. Garruk almost smiled. Daniel's expression became serious again. Thank you for helping that kid. I did not help her because of you. I know. Or Lucas. I know. Garruk considered. Then why thank me? Daniel shrugged. Because somebody should. Humans. Garruk took a drink. After a while he asked, When you left Lucas here that night, why did you trust Maya? Daniel blinked. What? You said you've got him. Yeah. No paperwork. No. No transfer of legal authority. No. No family relationship. Daniel looked toward Maya. She'd stop the station from exploding if she thought it might upset a kid. Damn right, Maya called. Daniel smiled. I trust her. That is all. That's a lot. Garruk looked around the bar. The dockworker from that night was there again. So was Mrs. Hargrove. Her cane leaned beside her chair. The cook passed through carrying plates. Different students occupied the far table, different travelers, different species. Lucas moved toward a display case near the wall. Mrs. Hargrove pointed her cane. Walk. Lucas immediately slowed. Garruk stared. She commands him. Daniel laughed. She tells everybody what to do. She has no authority. Tell her that. Garruk wisely declined. Months passed. The Red Lantern returned to normal. As much as any place containing humans could be described that way. Garruk became a regular again. Lucas and Daniel eventually left Meridian Exchange, then returned 3 months later on another freight route. Lucas had grown slightly. He still believed tyrannosaurs were overrated. Garruk still disagreed. One evening, a newly arrived alien merchant sat beside Garruk. The merchant belonged to a species Garruk did not recognize. Long limbs, blue-gray skin, 4 black eyes. The alien watched Lucas arguing with Maya over dessert. Which human is the juvenile's parent? Garruk pointed toward Daniel across the room. That one. The merchant watched Maya place a plate in front of Lucas, then watched Mrs. Hargrove tell him not to lean backward in his chair. A dockworker helped Lucas repair a broken toy clasp. Daniel never looked concerned. The merchant frowned. Then why do the others care for him? Garruk looked at Lucas, then at Maya, the cook, the old woman, the dockworker, the room. They are human. The merchant waited. That does not explain anything. Garruk considered. It explains more than you think. The merchant looked unconvinced. Garruk did not bother elaborating. He had once threatened a human child and watched an entire room go silent. At the time, he thought the silence meant violence was coming. He had been wrong. The dockworker had blocked an exit. The medic had prepared for injuries. Maya had moved between danger and the child. Someone had called security. Someone else had moved bystanders away. A 73-year-old woman had picked up her cane. No one had assigned those roles. No one needed to. The child still belonged to his father, but his safety belonged to everyone. That was the rule Garruk had failed to understand. And experienced travelers on Meridian Exchange eventually learned it too. If a child was in danger, humans did not begin by asking who had jurisdiction, for the few minutes that mattered. The child was everyone's,